Tyson Summers. We'll just jump right into questions. Cole, you want to start us off?
For sure. Coach, hope you're doing well. Happy Thanksgiving week.
Thank you.
This is another big test for you all, one of the top teams in the conference, especially offensively with their points and how they run the ball. What are some things you're seeing on film that you kind of want to address and with your players this week?
Yeah, they're really talented. I mean, I think Coach Richard does a great job, and obviously Coach Trickett, the line coach. They've been together doing this, I don't know how long together, I guess somewhere between 35 and 40 years. I know Coach Trickett's got to be year 48, 49, 50 for him. So they do an excellent job, and obviously the proof is in the pudding. Won a lot of football games this year, and obviously the last 2 years in our conference. Quarterback Tyler Huff is a phenomenal player. Does a great job running the scheme that they want him to. The backs, they have 3 or 4 that are really, really good. And obviously Trey Stewart, kind of being the starter in there, one of the leading rushers in the league, and that's kind of where it starts for them. They know who they are, they know what they want to be, downhill runners, and enough of kind of the split zone read and those type of things to be able to create problems. And I think they do an excellent job. The receivers are good. They can hit home runs. Guys that are done a great job of being able to run past people throughout the season. And then you see their O-line and their tight ends. I mean, they play together really, really well. So I think there's a lot of things that we've got to be able to hit on, trying to obviously put it all together from yesterday's work and today, and then get an opportunity to go out there with the players today and tomorrow and start to implement some of those things as they go. So they've done a great job. I've got a lot of my hats off to Jacksonville State, their staff, and the players.
You guys lose the turnover battle on Saturday. What is your defense's mindset whenever, your offense has 4 turnovers and they get stopped, but they have to go right back out there and do it again? What are they reacting-wise on that sideline?
Yeah, well, I think we've done a good job throughout the year of just kind of being able to rally in scenarios like that. We're not a group that, wants to, point fingers or do anything like that. We go out there and we feel like that's our job, Again, such a huge part of, from a philosophy standpoint, is points. So, to your point, if we're able to get takeaways and being able to help ourselves, to help our offense be able to create points, we're able to score points on our own. The 14-point swings we kind of talk about each week, that's what we're trying to create. And then, on the other side of that, it's how do we force them into a field goal? How do we, if it's a scenario where we're backed up, how do we get to a 3 and out? And so that's really the mindset for our guys, and I thought we did some good things with that, in the first half last week, and we got to do a better job certainly in the second half of being able to finish with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that there's a number of teams that are kind of copycatting them, and they've started, earlier in the year. So there's 3 or 4 different teams that have, kind of evolved through the year that we've already played that have a lot of similarities to Jacksonville State. I think, like you said earlier, kind of the interesting thing with Jacksonville State is as teams are evolving, like I said, the head coach, Richard, and the offensive line coach, they've been running this offense, I don't know, 35, 36, 37, 38 years. I don't know how much it's evolved, Yeah, so, I was, laughing when I turned on the film yesterday. Back in 2005, I was a GA at Georgia. It was kind of my first big opportunity, and the Sugar Bowl, we were playing West Virginia, and it doesn't look that much different. They were a little bit different. There were 2 backs, but it doesn't look that much different than it does today. They're just a little bit different pictures, but they know who they are. They know what they're good at, and they play really well up front, on scrimmage, and they've got good, talented, skilled players to be able to help them do that.
These past couple of weeks, teams have been, effectively been able to run the ball, especially this past Saturday. When you bring in Jack State, who also is a really good running the ball, where is it that you see, is there a place on the defense that you see that makes it vulnerable to the rushing attack these past few weeks?
Yeah, well, like I said, we got to do a better job with that. And for the last 3 weeks, ultimately, I think Coach Helton and I are very much on the same page as far as trying to limit points. If the whole world's points, how do you do that? And, we got to do a better job of that. I think we certainly gave up some yards and some different drives in there, but we were able to limit points. Still got to, find a way to win. We got to do a better job in that, but that's ultimately why they call me coach. My job is to put our guys in the best position possible to take things away. and create challenging situations for the offense, for the quarterback, and for the center. And in a lot of cases in the run back, and I've got to do a better job with that as we move forward, and certainly there's a big challenge this week to do that.
Devontae Maddox was 16 tackles, off of that tag, which is great. I mean, you love to see him make tackles, but are those necessarily the guys that you want to see making that many tackles?
Well, it kind of depends, and I think it's a really good question. So, as we went into the game, obviously, like we talked about, it's an option game to start with, right? And they have their answers in the box. And so as we went through and we're trying to design a game plan, if the ball's on the perimeter, then that's what it's going to wind up being. You're going to see more of those numbers. In a lot of cases, Vontae played much more like a linebacker this week than he did necessarily a DB, so that's why you see some of those numbers up. And Upton played in some different, positions this past week, and balls that were on the perimeter, I thought Upton did a nice job of being able to get those on the ground and being able to tackle well in space, particularly to the field, which is where he was playing for the most part. And then Devontae, being more of a linebacker role, was able to get into some of those things where, again, not necessarily where he's making a tackle that goes 2nd and 10, but ones where you're hoping that he can be in a situation to be 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8, and that's why those numbers are a little bit higher. But a lot of that is dictated, again, based on the option and what you're seeing with it.
I wanted to ask about if you all got an explanation on Saturday about that horse collar call toward the end of the first half there, because obviously he didn't pull the horse collar, but did they come over and explain to you what they saw? And then obviously when you see the replay, it's nowhere close to it. Did they talk to you all about that?
They didn't. I didn't ask. At the end of the day, like I said, there's a limited amount of time I have to be able to call plays, make decisions, and so no, it wasn't one of those things. There are always going to be opportunities in each game, each practice, every walk of life that you have to be able to sit there and feel like something negative has happened to you. But at the end of the day, there wasn't anything we could do with it at that point. So the ability to move on and make a play is really what we try to aim for. So it was not something for me in that moment. I was trying to figure out again, how we were going to be able to best execute the next play.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay. Thank y'all.